When Paris was known as the art center of the world from the 19th century to the 20th century, the city was also a sex capital of Europe. The number of the prostitutes had constantly increased since its decriminalization during the French Revolution until the abolishment in the 20th century. In shadow of the colorful modern life, prostitution certainly took an important part of the Parisian culture. Many artists who liked the bohemian lifestyle frequented the brothel and drew inspiration from the twilight world of demi-monde. Some paintings show high-class courtesans, and others do prostitution, awaiting clients on the street. Here is a story about sex workers on the fringe of the society. Edouard Manet exhibited the infamous Olympia in the 1865 Paris Salon with a full of ambitions. He used unconventional techniques such as broad, quick brush strokes, the elimination of mid-tone color, and shallow depth. None of them got along with the academic canon. The conservative salon did not welcome his experiment, reacted with a bitter criticism. What's worse was the indecent nature of the subject matter. Olympia was a typical name for a prostitute in 1860s. The orchid flower placed in her hair alludes to the sexual act. A removed slipper means a lost innocence. All these iconographies suggest her easy virtue. Manet borrows the composition of Venus of Urbino by Titian, or Tiziano Vezzerio, the important Renaissance figure from the Venetian school. Titian's Venus reclines on a couch in the sumptuous palace. This is a sublime female nude. On the other hand, Manet's rebellious work shows a young woman of the people. Her legs are short, her knees are knobbly, her skin was sallow. Drawing an ordinary woman was a pure shock to the general public, because nude was allowed only in specific themes such as mythology. Prostitution was an accepted practice among the 19th century bourgeoisie, but the subject remained a taboo in the polite society. Manet's realism confronted bourgeois delusive standards. Manet's another work, Nana, is a high-class prostitute or courtesan. She's a confident girl. Her back turns to the gentleman who she just had the business. The burnt-down candle implies her job was finished. While Olympia gives an alert look, Nana looks banal and unimpressed. Nana in her underwear seems vulgar, while her client looks greedy even though he is in a formal dress. Manet cast a cold eye on the cynical scene. Degas painted women engaged in ordinary tasks such as prostitutes waiting for clients or a woman in a bath. He especially favored a bathing and produced copious drawings, sketches, and pastel paintings of female nude in this theme. Their bodies were often in an awkward pose. This painting shows a female figure wiping her hair with white towels after taking a bath. Her body is subtly twisted, creating tension in the back. Most of the women were alone in a private space and totally unaware of the viewer's eyes. Some art historians suggest Degas' bathers implies a notional keyhole viewpoint from which the woman is exposed to the gaze of a male. If that's the case, Degas represented male fantasies. Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec is a French artist famous for the Moulin Rouge paintings. Lautrec lived the short life outside the polite society, even though he was from a noble family. Lautrec dedicated himself to the paintings of the marginalized people. He spent many evenings at the brothels where he handled an easy but intimate relationship with the women. He shared meals with them, and they treated him like a family member. Lautrec neither glamorized nor objectified prostitutes. He withheld judgment and created neutral scenes. Lautrec's Women Before a Mirror is believed to be inspired by Degas' Vader scenes. The woman was naked, except for the black stockings, standing uptight in front of a full-length glass mirror. The woman's loosely muscled back and ample hips may be the trace of her age. Her profession was evident, but what was in her mind was not. The only emotion recognized in the painting is the deeply ingrained sense of sadness. Pablo Picasso admired Lautrec. Like Lautrec, young Picasso painted prostitutes, but his painting was driven by the fear. The beginning of the 20th century was still the high time for prostitution in Paris. In the right bank of the river Seine, there were several shirts famous for the seductive professionals standing outside. Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris shows hookers standing at the night. Ever higher number of street workers and brothels increased the risk of sexually transmitted disease. It is reported that half of Paris' adult population experienced the venereal disease around 1900. The most notorious was syphilis. This deadly disease scared so many active young men before the penicillin was invented in 1929. Manet and Toulouse-Lautrec died of syphilis. Picasso himself once contracted a minor venereal disease before coming to Paris. This experience triggered his creative force that led to the 1907 composition The Young Ladies of Avignon. Picasso adapted the monstrous faces. He got an inspiration from primitive sculptures. 3 are from Iberian arts and the rest are from African masks. The 5 women posing confrontationally were all prostitutes in the reception room of a brothel on the Avignon Street in Barcelona. Hence the title is. In the foreground, there is a still life of fruits that had a phallic implication. Picasso experimented the simplified outlines and extremely shallow depths of the surface. The technique later developed as cubism style. Alberto Giacometti may be the last generation of Parisian bohemianism who frequented the brothels. The Swiss sculptor admitted that he had been amazed and attracted by the women in the brothels since his arrival at Paris early 1920s. His favorite spot was Le Sphinx in Montparnasse. The brothel was decorated with an Egyptian touch. It was the most expensive, iconic establishment where patrons could enjoy without necessarily going up to the bedrooms. A sudden ending of his regular visit, however, took place after the World War II. In 1946, the French Parliament enacted Martin Richard Law to abolish the prostitution in France. The new legislations resulted in the closure of all the brothels in Paris. Sphinx was no exception. The painting of 1950, At Sphinx, is a tribute made from a reminiscence. Giacometti drew the naked women walking or staying still. His signature style of attenuated figures administered the artist's psychological distance to the one who was once intimate to himself. A sad atmosphere permeates the painting. It resonates the end of a period for the prostitute that marked a significant yet unspoken part of the Parisian culture. Prostitution of course had a lot of problems like criminal issue and sociological problem, but at least art development during the modern time, it had a lot of contribution. Do you agree? If not, please write down on the comment. And last of all, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I see you very soon. Thank you.